This is the AEW Dynamite 6th Anniversary, October 1st, 2025 full show results video which takes place at Hard Rock Live at Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida. Earlier today, the Young Bucks hyped a massive, costly anniversary entrance, with Matt Jackson promising something founding father level. Nick took their money bag to a casino, hoping to double it, but ended up losing everything. In the parking lot, Matt found the bag empty and tore into his brother for blowing it all. When showtime came, the Bucks stood in the ring embarrassed, no cash and no grand entrance to show for it. Then we saw a match between Brodido and Kenny Omega versus Josh Alexander and the Young Bucks. The match kicked off with Kenny Omega and Josh Alexander trading holds before chaos erupted. The Young Bucks tried to overwhelm Bandido, but he and Brody King gained momentum with slams and dives, even using each other as weapons against their opponents. Omega showed flashes of dominance but was cut off by Bucks' super kicks and Alexander's suplexes, allowing the heels to isolate him. King powered through with lariats while Bandido dazzled with aerial offense, though the Bucks' double teams kept the fight even. Near falls piled up after a triple tombstone and more super kicks, but momentum shifted when Bandido and King cleared the ring. Omega nailed Alexander with consecutive V-triggers, Bandido hit the 21 plex, and Omega sealed the victory with the one-winged angel. After the match, the Young Bucks teased an elite reunion with Kenny Omega, but Josh Alexander attacked Omega before it could happen. Jurassic Express arrived to fend off the Bucks, with Jack Perry briefly clashing with Omega over their past before chasing the Bucks to the back. Omega then addressed the crowd, thanking fans for 6 years of AEW and delivering his signature farewell. Suddenly, the lights went out, and Andrade El Idolo appeared, unmasking himself before ambushing Omega. Don Callis joined him to shake hands, and though Omega fought back, Andrade dropped him with a kick, leaving him laid out. Backstage, Mark Briscoe addressed his obsession with MJF, reminding fans he beat him at All Out and sent him on sabbatical. He reflected on missing out on gold with Hologram but showed support for Orange Cassidy's title shot, promising to celebrate his victory. Briscoe closed by noting MJF is at home recovering before wishing everyone a happy anniversary. The next match happened between Kyle Fletcher versus Orange Cassidy for the AEW TNT Championship. Orange Cassidy challenged Kyle Fletcher for the TNT Championship in a fast-paced battle. Cassidy used his agility early, dodging Fletcher's power moves and hitting sharp DDTs, while Fletcher answered with boots, a Michinoku driver, and a crushing tombstone for near falls. Cassidy fought back, nearly landing an orange punch, but Fletcher's resilience kept him alive. As both men battled on the ropes, a masked figure, revealed as Hologram, tripped Cassidy, allowing Fletcher to capitalize. He spiked Cassidy with a devastating turnbuckle brainbuster to secure the pinfall victory and retain the TNT Championship, leaving Cassidy robbed of his chance by Callis' mysterious new ally. Post-match, Fletcher and Hologram beat Cassidy down until Paragon and Mark Briscoe make the save. The Don Callis family appear on the stage and Hologram strips down, shirtless and in a black mask. It's the mysterious clone of Hologram, and the lights flicker menacingly. Backstage, Renee Paquette interviewed Mercedes, who declared the night a celebration of herself and AEW's 6-year anniversary. She announced she'll defend her TBS championship on Title Tuesday against a local challenger to make history again. Discussing the new tag titles, Mercedes teased wanting a partner. Harley Cameron appeared with her puppet, prompting Mercedes to choke it and argue, saying they always lose when teaming. Frustrated, Mercedes stormed off, leaving Cameron insisting she's friends with everyone and determined to be her partner. The next match happened between Hangman Adam Page and the Ops vs Death Riders. The 6-man tag began with Samoa Joe dominating Claudio Castagnoli before the Death Riders rotated frequent tags to wear Joe down. Joe fought back and tagged in Hangman Page, who took control against Daniel Garcia. Powerhouse Hobbs entered, overpowering Garcia and punishing Moxley with a slam on the apron. Castagnoli rallied with strikes and a deadlift on Hobbs, but Page stormed in, firing up with a Death Valley driver on Garcia. The action broke down as Moxley and Page traded blows, leading to chaos between all 6 men. Joe ate a paradigm shift, while Page narrowly dodged a buckshot attempt from Moxley. Ultimately, Page hit the dead eye and followed with a decisive buckshot lariat on Castagnoli to secure the win. Post-match, there's some discord between Joe and Hangman. Powerhouse tries to calm things down and gets between them long enough for security to get involved. Tempers flare, security has to work to keep them apart and Hobbs gets Joe to head to the back. We then get a video package looking at Willow Nightingale and Jetspeed addressing FTR's actions. Big Stoke then responds by issuing a challenge for Collision and says top guy's out. Backstage, Adam Page addressed Samoa Joe's anger, mocking him for throwing a bitch fit after losing the title. Page reminded Joe that part of his reign is thanks to Joe's help and offered him a title match at Wrestle Dream, giving him weeks to prepare. While Page respects Joe, he warned that another tantrum would lead to him ruining Joe's life. Timeless Toni Storm then makes her way down to the ring for the next match of the night. Tay Melo then makes her way down to the ring next, and we get an inset promo from Tay Melo and Anna Jay about the Women's Tag Team Championship. The next match happened between Tay Melo versus Toni Storm. The match started with Tay Melo and Toni Storm exchanging holds, strikes, and high-impact maneuvers. Melo gained early control with an armbar in the ropes, while Storm fought back with shoulder blocks, elbow exchanges, and a dropkick. Toni tripped Melo on the apron before commercial, then returned with clubbing blows, a DDT, and countered a gory special attempt. Storm gained the upper hand, hitting a running hip attack and finishing Melo with her Storm Zero for the pinfall victory, showcasing her dominance and technical prowess throughout the bout. Post-match, Toni Storm reflected on her all-out experience, describing a moment of overwhelming silence that made her confront her identity without the title. She then called out Kris Statlander, declaring she's not done with her and demanding a one-on-one rematch. Storm challenged Statlander to set the time and place, promising she'll be ready to settle the score. Backstage, Samoa Joe addressed the situation with Hangman Page, dismissing it as no misunderstanding. Joe claimed he's focused on the Death Riders but reminded everyone of his dominance, stating Page has never beaten him. He warned that standing in front of him means Page is in serious trouble. The next match happened between Gates of Agony versus The Swirl. Ricochet called the action as Laiona and Johnson started the match, with the big men dominating early. Tags and high-impact maneuvers kept momentum swinging, including handspring kicks, gutbusters, dropkicks, and Tope Con Gyros. Despite Lee Johnson's efforts, the GOA team Itoa and Kaun controlled the match with freight train knees and hip attacks, ultimately securing the victory. The match ended when GOA hit a double spinebuster on Johnson for the pinfall. Post-match, Ricochet throws Blake into the ring for his boys to hold in place while he hits a spirit gun. The Hurt Syndicate, led by Bobby Lashley, made a flashy entrance as MVP hyped the crowd, calling out local area codes and rallying chants. MVP admitted his all-out loss was embarrassing and promised to make amends for letting his team down. Declaring he can still outperform his opponents, MVP challenged Ricochet and the Hurt Syndicate to a no-disqualification street fight next week in Jacksonville, which Ricochet accepted. Backstage, Kris Statlander addressed Toni Storm, agreeing to settle their long-standing rivalry one-on-one at Wrestle Dream. Harley Cameron joined, hyping Kris and showing support, despite not wearing her usual cat makeup. Backstage, Don Callis challenged Brodido's allies to a match against Konosuke Takeshita and Okada next Tuesday, praising his faction's talent. Takeshita hesitated, but Okada agreed, and Callis hyped the upcoming matchup before the break. In the main event of the show, we saw a mixed tornado match between Darby Allin and Kris Statlander versus Marina Shafir and Wheeler Yuta. The chaotic hardcore match saw babyfaces Darby Allin and Kris Statlander battle Death Riders in a high-risk, weapon-filled brawl. Under the balcony, Darby and Statlander slammed Yuta into walls, while Marina and Statlander traded brutal moves on the stairs and barricades. Chairs, tables, and tacks came into play, with Statlander hitting a suplex through a table and Darby performing a superplex onto steel chairs. Yuta attempted a tax assault, but Statlander countered with an atomic drop onto the tacks. The match concluded in a spectacular fashion as Darby delivered a coffin drop on Wheeler Yuta, securing the pinfall victory for the babyfaces. Post-match chaos erupts as Toni Storm and Kris Statlander brawl on stage, stopped by security. In-ring, Darby Allin whips Yuta with a belt before Death Riders turn the tide, choking him. Jon Moxley vows to make Darby say "I quit," while Pac finishes the segment with a brutal lariat, and the show goes off the air. How would you rate this week's AEW Dynamite show? Tell me in the comments, and thanks for watching.